Well, like I'll be dreaming of something and it'll be like, oh, wow, okay. Like when I wake up, I'll be like, oh, that was freaking amazing. But how the heck did I not realize I was dreaming? You know?
Hey everyone, welcome to Let's Dream Podcast, episode 17. This is your co-host Lee, and we always have
Casey Lucid. Hello, everyone.
Hey, hope everyone's doing fine, having a great day, evening, morning, whatever. Today we have more dream stories for you all from our lovely readers and listeners, and we hope you all enjoy. So the first story is from a user who wanted to be anonymous. This dreamer shared a dream with us about a very happy hobo that would sing songs about friendships and wear a straw hat. He also had a pet dog that was made of cabbage and pet cats that were made of carrots. And he was a very happy individual and didn't have a care in the world. The dreamer told us that they had dreamt of this character multiple times, and every time they did, they had a very pleasant and lasting feeling, even after waking up from the dream.
Great. Yeah, that was a very pleasant, kind of like quick, happy dream. And the dreamer told us that it was like, they had that was like a recurring dream, so I thought that was kind of interesting.
It's very cute.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's an illustration to go along with that that'll be on the blog for anyone that wants to see it.
And I assume that's extra cute too.
It is. Actually, it's very cute.
Awesome.
Okay, well, the next dream is from another dreamer that wanted to maintain anonymous. So the dreamer had a dream that they were walking down the stairs of their house, and then out of nowhere, a Finnish frogman tackled them through a window. And now this is the type of a special force team member that's from the country of Finland. The difference in the dream was that the ops uniforms are usually all black in real life, but in the dream they were all white and they had this purplish vapor coming out of their eyes. So that's pretty much it for that one. But I just thought that was oddly specific. You're just walking down and it's specifically a Finnish frogman that attacks you.
Yeah, and I just feel like that image is like terrifying too. Like just getting tackled out of the window by a white, figure with purplish haze coming out of its eyes. Like,
yeah, especially if you know that they're like special forces. Like, if you don't know that you're dreaming, it's kind of like, oh shit, what did I do?
So you wouldn't even know if they're special forces in real life. You just get tackled out of a window and you see this like figure, right?
Yeah.
Technically, you wouldn't see him coming.
Yeah.
The next dreamer is also held anonymous. This dreamer had dreamt that they were working on a conveyor belt where they had to look through piles of feces to find diamonds. At the start of the conveyor belt, there were these large lizard-like beings lined up, and they were stuffing their faces on all kinds of food so that they could defecate on the belt, so the workers would have to look through the feces for diamonds. It was all set up on the front lawn garden of a well-kept mansion. And the weather was a nice sunny day outside.
So
yeah, this is weird.
A lot of the person that sent that to us reached out to me afterwards, and they said that they had talked it over with one of their parents, and apparently, so they work at an Amazon warehouse, like at a fulfillment center. So I guess that's what their brain thought about. Like, I guess that's how their brain processed what they were doing. I thought it was kind of hilarious.
Yeah, so this dreamer dreamt about Jeff Bezos, taking advantage of all of their workers, right? For Amazon, I guess.
Probably, something like that. Hashtag lizard truth.
Yeah, I can imagine. Oh, jeez.
The next dream is from a user by the name of Podan. The dream was in the distant future where the sun's energy was running low, but people had developed deep space travel and could harvest resources from other planets. Suddenly, an enormous mass appeared near Earth's orbit. It's not clear if it's a huge asteroid or an interstellar entity. We figure out that we can harvest the mass's energy, but we have to do so without landing on it. However, we can't orbit it without getting caught in its gravitational pull. At this point, the mass starts to turn into a supernova phase. This is when a strange character appears on Earth. The character is over 6 feet tall and has the head of Anubis, but the body of the predator. The dreamer called this being Annotator. This being explains that he's from an ancient alien race that's been hiding and waiting for the prophecy to be fulfilled. He explains that he's here to warn us about the mass. He tells us that the mass is a planet killer and that's what had killed his planet long ago. Only a few had survived. This alien being had the job of tracking down the mass and ones like it and then notifying the inhabitants of wherever planet it appeared by of what to do. Different officials and scientists ask him how to stop the mass. Annotator starts telling a story of how their planet had a tyrant, and the tyrant was an enemy of logic and technology. Even though Annotator's race had advanced technology, they could only use it according to the tyrant's rules. One day, the mass appeared as their energy sources were about to run out, just like it did with Earth. Their scientists built and sent out probes to investigate the mass, but the tyrant destroyed the probes and then used his troops to blow up the mass. As Annotator is saying all of this, he collapses to the ground, and at that moment a hologram starts projecting out of him. The hologram had instructions that told the dreamer that they should take Annotator to his coffin and bury him. So that's exactly what the dreamer does. After the burial, Annotator breaks out of the grave resurrected, and then tells everyone how to stop the space object from destroying the Earth. Everybody started celebrating, and that's how the dream ended. Man.
This one's really cool.
Yeah, that's like a whole movie right there.
Yeah, it's a whole arc. And the setup is just so sweet for the picking.
Yeah.
We just need to know how exactly they, exactly how they defended Earth. And then maybe, like, the sequel gets a showdown with a tyrant.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I often wonder, some people have like these really crazy dreams and then they just end kind of abruptly. I always want to hear more from the dreamers, like even if they make up their own story, like how would they want to see it end?
Yeah. Dreams don't give you closure.
Not
Sometimes
always.
They do.
Yeah, you're right. A lot of the times they don't.
But I do hope that one day, I don't know, maybe Elon Musk or something will find out the secret between like Egypt and aliens. That'd be cool. If there is one.
Yeah. But I do know that there's a couple of different scientific research centers that are trying to figure out how to record dreams. Like there's some technology out there that's it's kind of blurry, like when you think of something, your brain gives out like a specific imagery. Like when you're thinking of a specific object, your brain lights up in a very specific way, which can then be projected onto a screen to kind of give you a fuzzy idea of what you may be thinking about.
Yeah.
I bet over time that'll get better, and then we may be able to just like see the whole dream.
Yeah, I think they need to like capture the brain frequencies, and it's extremely hard to do.
Yeah.
Because you're also sleeping, and that brain activity can just happen anytime during that 8 hours you sleep.
Yeah, and not only that, but
focus on it, right?
It can happen so quickly though. Like it's not just that it happens; it happens so quickly. It's like you can have like a million different thoughts in a second when you're awake, let alone when you're dreaming. So, can you imagine, like if that person that the dream that we just read, they have their whole dream recorded? That's like a movie right there. Like you just sell it to Universal or something.
You know what's even better? They record it and then put it into like a VR kind of playlist. Ooh. And you just go in VR and experience it.
Oh man, yeah. Oh,
the new level of lucidity. That's crazy. Yeah.
The future scares me.
Maybe one day.
Yeah.
So the next user is also anonymous. This dreamer dreamt that there was some type of a fairy queen and that there was a royal event of some sort. A line of creatures and people were formed outside the palace, and they were all there to pay their respects to the dreamer. There were some very interesting gifts that the dreamer received, but the most memorable ones were a large turtle with a house on its back, and a lion with a peacock feathers as its mane. Nice.
I think that's a very surreal image when you think like that. Reminds me of something that you might see in a Dali painting or something, like a lion with peacock feathers as its mane.
Yeah, and like an oil kind of an oily canvas.
Yeah, like it almost. I mean, it has like a fairy tale feel to it for sure. It almost sounds like, it kind of makes sense if you think about it, like a lion with peacock feathers. It almost sounds like something you might see in real life, you know, because they're both things that exist in real life. They're just kind of mixed and matched in your brain. So I like how that, I like hearing like combinations like that.
Yeah, and I think as you mentioned whenever before, when you're dreaming, your brain just has this like proclivity to mix and match creatures.
Yeah,
like a turtle in a house, which isn't too bad, but you know, they'll just mix two different things on a creature and make a new one.
Yeah, and you know, and the other thing is, it's not just objects, but sometimes it's just it's an environment. It's like entire environments or events, or even the timeline of things. Yeah, it's just like your brain can just really rearrange them in a very crazy way when you're dreaming.
Yeah, it's really cool.
So the next dream that we have is from Fairy Heaven 13. I was exploring a colorful jungle with my brother. There were columns of flowers growing on vines that dangled from the high canopy. They were in every shade of the rainbow. In the flowers flew what my brain called bubberfrees, which were sky blue geckos with butterfly wings. They made meep meep noises and smelled like clementine, and flew all around the flowers as we climbed the trees. It was really pretty. That's another good example of a combination, you know, like your brain just combining like lizards and butterflies.
Yeah, and I think this imagery is very whimsical too.
Yeah, and very it sounds like all of their senses were kind of engaged, which it's so interesting how like a dream can just pull you into that world. It's just like you just feel like you're there, you know.
I like that when the dreamer saw these creatures, they immediately went to, oh, that's a bubberfree. I know what that is.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, and you know, that would be a good episode to maybe do at some point in the future, because every now and then people will send us things about like words that they've never heard in real life but appeared in their dream, you know, and it kind of makes sense in the dream. So I think that's an interesting one too. Like sometimes your brain just generates words, just random words.
Yeah, and you know exactly what it is, you know, inside dreams.
Yeah.
It's really funny. Okay, so the next user we have is Doctor_the_doctor. In this dream, I was in a hospital parking lot when I noticed these strange flying things low to the ground and in the sky grouped up. They looked similar to a doorstopper with 4 wings. And when I tried to take pictures with my phone, it wouldn't work. I then remember seeing something similar to a bootleg Cthulhu looking at me and leaning at me from the sky before disappearing. I remember interacting with some people inside the building asking if it was safe. And as well, it turns out, it wasn't safe when this multi-armed monster came from the roof of a nearby building and most likely killed everyone else. I tried to hide in a cooler when it found me, and I woke up.
There's a lot going on in that dream.
Yeah, it's
like
I don't understand the flying door stoppers.
Dream logic. It's just dream logic.
I mean, that's another example. Like, there's a door stopper and it had 4 wings.
Yeah, I don't.
That's
it kind of makes
instead
sense
of like
though.
the bubberfrees, we have like door stop freeze.
You know, it kind of reminds me of, you know, when you're a kid and you see something like I don't know, like a little door stopper, you might pick it up and pretend like it's a spaceship or something flying around, or I don't know, like an eraser or
like the little paper clip, the clip that you kind of hold like large stacks of paper together. You kind of like pinch it together and you kind of make a little monster or alligator from it.
Yes, yeah. Or a perfect one is what you just said reminded me of those like stapler removers, you know?
Yeah.
Like look like
that.
Like the heads of monsters.
Just add some wings on it and then you have a little dream creature.
Yeah, what I like about this dream is that it reminds me of that almost like sense of being a child. You know, you're very young and things kind of like can transform like that, and the world itself, it seems like a very magical place. But then there's also that sense of being an adult, and there's like scary things in the world, and and you're like in an office building and you try to hide in a cooler and there's a monster that finds you.
Yeah, I mean, as a kid, things are just cool and awesome, and as an adult, you just have all this information backing you up, thinking, whatever.
Yeah, there's a monster that killed everyone.
Yeah. Poor guy.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that with us, Doctor. Let's see. The next episode, or I keep saying episode, the next dream is from Sturskamp Flugzigwan. So they wrote, I had a dream of a woman that stood there wearing a brown cloak that covered her head down to her feet. I could see her nose and mouth, which formed a warm smile, but I was unable to see her eyes. She was surrounded by pearl-like blue mist. Her hair was black, and it shone down the cloak. So that's pretty much it for that dream. Now, the dream itself, like, there's nothing really special about the dream, I guess, except maybe the feeling that the dreamer felt.
Yeah.
But I've had, like, a lot of people send us, this is probably, like, the fourth or fifth dreamer that has sent us a dream where they saw a woman in a brown cloak, and then her face was kind of like difficult to make out, but they could tell that she was smiling. I thought that was very strange.
It's somewhere like creepy and good, I guess. Creepy and
almost like in a supernatural sense.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. But also like you said, most of the ones that have like just a figure standing and staring, I feel like most of the time they're always staring at the dreamer, and they always have some sort of presence, be it foreboding or warm.
Yeah.
This seems to be like just like an image that they see while dreaming, and it really sticks out.
Yeah, and I don't know, it's just, I think it's interesting, and again, I don't think there's like a supernatural entity that's visiting people. I think it may be just like some kind of like a common theme, or maybe like a cultural trope that manifests with different people. I just thought it was interesting because like the most common things that people send us are probably like being stared at or being chased by something or like a monster, and it's interesting.
Or walking up, seeing a figure.
Right. Yeah. It's interesting to see that people are not so different, I would say.
Yeah, there's these common like elements of a dream that are kind of across the board at this point, I think.
Yeah.
So next user is the Riddle of Clouds. I was on a beach, white sand, palm trees, rainforest mountains in the background. Might have been Washington or Oregon. There was a massive golden turtle hovering in the sky. It was pyramid-shaped and its shell doubled as wings. The dreamer also sent a second story. The other dream I had that recently stuck with me, I was in a liminal space-type public bathroom with very short stalls, using a box of Thanksgiving stuffing as a shower, telling everyone around me I must toss myself.
I like how abruptly that dream ends.
Yeah, so I guess this is from the same user too.
Yeah. I must toss myself. Let's just stop it right there. But yeah, no, the turtle one was really cool.
You have a picture of this as well, right?
Oh yeah. I made anybody that wants to see it, it'll be up on the blog. So the golden pyramid turtle flying through the sky. Yeah, I thought that's like a very like a mythical. That's another combination. That's a lot of combinations
Yeah, it is.
in this dream stories. But yeah, it was very fantastic imagery. I also like the contrast between these two. It's like I would not have thought that they're from the same dreamer, the same person sending them in.
At Thanksgiving, I must toss myself. Such a trolly dream. Like, at what point does your own brain like troll yourself, right? Like, does this user kind of like stay up at night thinking like, oh man, I embarrassed myself in that dream so bad?
I don't know about you, but
sounds weird.
My dream, I feel like my dream trolls me like all the time. Like my dreams all the time, they get trolled.
How so?
Well, like I'll be dreaming of something and it'll be like, oh, Wow, okay. Like when I wake up, I'll be like, "Oh, that was freaking amazing." But how the heck did I not realize I was dreaming, you know?
Okay.
Like one of my most memorable ones is that I saw an elephant eating planets off of a planet tree. Like, but in my mind when I was dreaming, I'm like, "Oh, wow, this makes that's incredible, but it makes perfect sense." But when you wake up, it's like, "Well, no, it doesn't. You should have caught that." Yeah, so missed opportunity. But then it'll be something
I see what you're saying.
right. Yeah. So, but anyway. So the next one is Bard of Space. So the Bard of Space sent us a dream that goes, I had a dream a while ago of this shape-shifting immortal fox monster, similar to a kitsune or a kumiho, who took the shape of a man. His name was Chalice, and he lived in a castle surrounded by an expansive garden. One day, while Chalice was walking in the garden, he found a young woman. The woman admitted that she had been pining for Chalice for quite some time and wanted his hand in marriage. He agreed to wed her. The dreamer goes, I assume that this takes place in the same world as fairy tales, where getting engaged to someone you just met is okay and always works out. She needed to kill a man for his mask. Apparently, wearing a mask is normal in this culture because everyone in the dream was doing it. But she needed to kill a mask so Chalice could turn it into a mask of a fox like him for her to wear. After all, he didn't want his lover washed away by the sands of time while he would always be. It took years for the woman to find a man to kill for his mask, and she kept sending Chalice the masks of prostitutes for whatever reason. Eventually, she returned to Chalice. She was covered in blood, but in her hands, she held the mask of a man. I don't remember anything after that, but presumably Chalice was able to turn it into a fox's mask and get married.
That's kind of an intense dream, right?
Yeah, like what's up with the sending prostitutes masks? Like,
it starts off so fairy tale and fable-like.
mm-hmm.
Well, I guess and then it turns immediately grim fables at the end there.
Yeah.
I do like the theme of in this kind of universe, everyone's wearing a mask, and that has some sort of significance.
Yeah. Also, it's kind of it's almost like a metaphor. You can take somebody else's mask. Like she was a mortal human being, but she could take somebody else's mask and become potentially an immortal human being. It's interesting. This is another one that could be turned into a story.
I assume that the mortal fox monster does some magic on the acquired mask for her to make her immortal. I mean, that's my assumption.
Yeah. See, I would like to hear more of this story.
Yeah, there's more, but I feel like it might not have been a happy ending, just based on killing prostitutes for their mask, and then emerging covered in blood at the end, and then getting married
And in folklore, foxes are often not to be trusted. They're always sly with ulterior motives.
Or they're monsters that'll eat your heart and liver.
Yeah.
Man. Bard of Space also gave us a second story. This goes, I had a dream about this knockoff Mystery Incorporated group who all lived together in this apartment. Except their shaggy replacement was this jester character who might have started off the dream being Polsurnu, but I'm not sure. The thing started with a flashback to when the group had first moved into the apartment. The jester character wasn't really a fully accepted member of the group yet. He needed to prove himself in some manner. But then the second, evil jester character in purple clothing, the good guy's jester's clothes were shaggy Scooby-Doo green. But this purple jester came up to the door. It was revealed in some manner that he planned to kill everyone inside. So the good jester seemingly stabbed him to death through the male slot. It's very interesting how that happened. Back in the present day, things are just happening as normal. The cameraman is specified to be a sapient snake living in the vents, but the jester character has been mysteriously vanishing throughout the day. Seems to be hiding something. So the camera snake decides to follow him to see what's up. It turns out the jester is visiting an apartment on the far end of the hall, the same level the group is in, which is the apartment the evil jester in the beginning came from. It's been corrupting him somehow, and the camera snake manages to witness the end of the process. All his clothes turn purple, and he becomes physically identical to the evil jester from the beginning. He opens up a time portal and hops in, prompting the camera snake to bust out the vents and follow him before it closes. The evil jester is too focused on what he's doing to notice the snake, thankfully. So he heads down the hallway to the apartment the knockoff Mr. Ink are living in. Sure enough, his past self looks through the mail slot and draws a knife to stab him with. Before he can do anything else, the evil jester has a moment of lucidity and stabs himself to death, completing the time loop.
Yeah, man. A lot of layers here. Yeah, like, geez. Can you imagine? That's like a whole...
That's a little murder mystery or like a TV show series, right?
Yeah, but then it takes a turn and it's like a time traveler paradox movie.
Oh, man.
But I do like... I do like the method of murder. They just through the mail slot.
They both just kind of look at through this mail slot, and the other one just like shinks. So, I find it interesting from this user specifically that I guess they aren't a character in the story. They're more like an observer from the way this is presented, at least. Yeah, that's a good point. So in this specific story, we know that we kind of like hover perspectives from the good jester, this camera snake, and then the bad jester eventually. But the signs of like the dreamer themselves aren't clear, right?
Yeah, they're just kind of like in third person somewhere. That's so fascinating.
Yeah, that's cool.
Thank you, Bard of Space, for sharing that story with us. That pretty much wraps up the dream stories for this episode. I thank all of you that shared them with us. If anybody has a dream story they'd like to share, you can do so at the Let's Dream Podcast, contact at letsdreampodcast.com. And also, Let's Dream Podcast on Instagram or Facebook, and Let's Dream Pod on Twitter. And on our blog, we'll have the images of all these creatures that we're talking about, if anyone wants to see them. Do you have anything you want to add?
And for all of you out there, pick your favorite one and tell someone one of these cool stories, and then let us know how that went. That might be interesting conversation afterwards, right?
Yeah, I mean, I always love hearing dreams.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So we'll see you in the next one.
Right.